Hi, everybody. Mrs. King. It is Thursday, January 28th, and we are going to continue on talking about our cubes strategy when it comes to solving story problems. Yesterday and Tuesday, Mrs. Gannum talked to you about multiplication story problems. And on Monday, we had started this chart to kind of help us to understand maybe some clue words to look for when we're solving problems and what cubes means. How does that acronym help us to know what to do to solve a problem? So we're going to fill in some division words today, and then I've got a couple of problems that we're going to kind of work through together. And then you're going to be doing an IXL practice to kind of help yourself solve some of those things. Okay, this is going to be kind of, we're going to be working on this for a while. And when you return in person, we will be reviewing some of these strategies. And hopefully what we're doing right now makes it a little easier for our return to in-person school and being able to solve a lot of this, in the classroom. So today, before we get started, let's talk about division. Division means to divide. Division means that you are taking a large group of something and you're separating it into smaller groups. Sometimes we can divide things evenly and sometimes we can't. For now, we're going to talk about when things can be divided evenly. That we're going to start with that. And later on, and even as you get into older grades, you'll talk about how to divide things that don't always end up into equal groups. So I've got our chart pulled up, and for division, there are some clue words to look for. They're not always in every story problem, but it helps us to get an idea as to what words to look for. So if you see the word divided, obviously, if they are going to use that word in the story problem, you're going to have a large group of something that's divided out. Okay. Also, the word, split or shared. Those are also words that signify that you're dividing something into groups. Okay. When you divide, the answer is called a quotient. So if they ask what the quotient is in a specific story problem, that means that you have to divide to get that answer. A quotient is the answer to a division problem. So that's a big clue word. Okay. Also, if you see the word separated, okay, if you have a group of something and it's separated into groups, then again, that's a big clue word for division. Okay, one more thing is actually a question. If it asks you how many, hold on, here we go. How many in each group? Okay, again, if they want to know an answer to that question, how many in each group, you have to divide something to get there. So those are all clues to help us with division. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my screen and we're going to look at a couple of different story problems and maybe see if we can find some of these clue words that might help us. So I've got some different samples pulled up. We're going to look at this one first. We're going to decide if we're going to multiply or divide, and we'll look for some clue words that might help us. It says Bob's ice cream shop had 20 ice cream cones. 5 families came to his shop, and he split the cones evenly among the families. How many ice cream cones did each family get? So let's think about that for a minute. Do you see any clue words that might help us to understand what to do? And if we were using the cubes strategy, we would put a box around those clue words that we find. It's kind of hard to do that online here, but we'll, again, review that as you come back into person. Any other clue words? All right. If you notice the word split right there, that was from our chart that we made. Okay. We use that word split. It's down here. So if you're splitting something into groups, you're going to divide. Okay. So I would, if this was my assignment, I would take that check mark and I would drag it to the division box. Okay, now I'm going to come over here and it asks me to type an equation and solution for the problem. So let's think about the numbers that are included here. How many ice cream cones did he have? Or did Bob's ice cream shop have? He had 20 of them. And that's our large group. And when we divide, we start with that large group, whatever we're going to then divide out. Again, when we divide out, our number's getting smaller. So if 5 families come into the shop, then they're going to get a smaller number than 20 because those ice cream cones are being divided out by a number of families. So 20 ice cream cones. And how many families came into the shop? Well, there were 5. And to make a division sign, I can't really do that on the computer. So what we do is we use a slash mark. If you ever see that, that's another clue for dividing. Okay, so 20 divided by, and then right up here is the number 5 in word form. So we're going to use that. So 20 divided by 5 equals, and then we have to think about how that would be. If I was going to solve that, I could use cubes. I could use pennies. I could use something to help myself divide that out. Another thing I can think of is, remember, division is the reverse of multiplication. So I'm going to think, what number times 5 gives me 20? So blank times 5 is 20. That's why we learn our multiplication facts, because they can then we can turn them around to help us solve division facts. And if you know that, the answer is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 ice cream cones divided by 5 families is 4. That means each family is going to get 4 ice cream cones. And that's how I would solve that. So hopefully that helped you today. Tomorrow we'll come back again and do another example, and then you'll be ready for some other work in the coming weeks. Have a good day.